Hello, I'm Daisha and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I share all about my small bookish business and I also like to talk about books and annotating. So if any of that interests you, then you are in the right place. So a bit of a different setup today. I'm in my dining room and this is where I like to annotate books that are going to go off to somebody else just because lots of good light, nice high table, easy for me to write. So I thought I would take you with me today as I get this book ready to go off to a friend. So before I even had my small store on Etsy, a friend of mine reached out and said we should annotate our favorite books and send them to each other. So both of the books that we had chose were duologies. We did the first book back in April, and then the second book was supposed to be June. So she has actually already gotten the second book to me. So I need to do the same. So the way this works, in case you're new to this concept, I'm going to take what I've annotated in my copy and do the same in hers. But I thought instead of just having a video where I'm just copying, I thought I might kind of walk you through the process of what I do and kind of why. So some people wonder, why do I annotate? And I do have a video where I talk more about this. But I basically annotate to have a deeper connection with whatever the text is. So this one and Six of Crows, these are two of my favorite books. And I love to be able to look back at all my emotions, all of my thoughts, quotes, all the things that I loved in this book. And by looking at the tabs and like finding the colors, I can see like, this is something that I loved. This is something that made me sad. Being able to reflect on my reading like this just gives it a deeper meaning and a deeper connection for me. So not every book that I annotate is this detailed. This one's a lot because I have a lot of thoughts. Some books don't get that many tabs. That's kind of, I also like to annotate to be able to reference back to my feelings. So when I'm writing reviews or if I have a friend reading a book, being able to like, oh, what chapter are you talking about? And they would say, and I could like look back and see what my thoughts were. So I think it just adds another layer to the reading experience. And now I'm getting to add that to hers. When I first annotated this series, I was using the old color system I used to use, which was every single book, didn't matter what it was. Pink was love, purple was notes, green's angry, blue is sad, etc. Since then, I have moved on to, I match the tabs to the cover of the book. So this one, as you can see, it's mostly black, gold, a little bit of red. However, Six of Crows, I have a lot of feelings, like I said, so I had to kind of branch out from the colors. So I'm going to use the same colors I used in the last book that I sent to her. That way there's some like cohesiveness across. So I did like the blue, the dark blue for Kaz, this lighter blue for sad, gray for funny, this like light kind of green for badass. Angry is dark green, love is pink, red for notes, and then this like burgundy color for world building. Some of the colors do kind of coordinate, right? Like angry over here is still green over here. It just might take my brain a minute. But some of the notes or some things I put love for, I actually need to change to Kaz. So I'm going to have to do some like thought processes, but I'm going to show you just kind of me going through the book. And then I'll also like pop in and give notes and like talk about what I'm doing and why. And then I also have my pens here. So if you're going to write in your book, you want to get a thin tip pen. You don't want something with a heavy payoff. So some of my favorite pens to write with in general, like the Papermate Ink Joy, not a good idea for annotating because it's going to bleed through. I don't care that much, but I know people are very sensitive about their books. And then also I don't want to send a copy of a book to a customer or to a friend that has a lot of bleed. So I've been using these I buy them fine liner pens. They actually have a whole lot of different brands. I don't really know who makes them. These are generally pretty good. The dark blue probably is going to have some bleed, so I might honestly change to another one, but it's not that big of a deal. And then I'm using the gray mild liner, the zebra mild liner highlighter for the sections. So I'm excited. So I have my coffee and I'm ready to get started. All right, so I have both copies of my books, my writing utensils. I have just some stickers and things. I'm going to kind of set these to the side because I won't need these. Probably not until later. And then my tabs, which I'll need now. So just going to open. And this series, if you haven't read it, it's so good. I love it so much. But here I am. I'm just like opening this and waiting until I get to the first section that I've actually added annotations to. And then I'm going to open this copy and do the same. So the first one's on page 4. And it's a page of notes. And then I'm going to use the pen to write. And then honestly, this is what I'm going to do, especially since it's not mine. Sometimes I will go to the back and just do a test just to see how it's going to go. So no, that didn't really bleed through. So that's a good thing to do. Like if you want to test your page just to see. And then another thing I like to do is like these wavy lines instead of a straight line. If I'm going to use a straight line, I will use the tabs, like the ruler that the tabs comes on as a straight edge to make it a straight line. But if I do not feel like dealing with the drama of having to do that, this is a faster way. And then I also like to use brackets to emphasize a point. I'm going to bring you in some. I like to use brackets to emphasize points. And then sometimes if I'm really feeling dramatic, I will use brackets and I will highlight. So here I just got to a section that has a love tab. And then say you're annotating for the first time. So like this is obviously not my first time. I'm not even really reading the book. I'm just redoing what I've already done. But people ask, like, how do you know when to annotate? The answer is literally whenever you feel like it. Like whenever, if you're reading something, you're like, oh wow, that was beautiful, or oh wow, that was sad, or oh, this is something I'd want to remember. That's what you annotate. And if you're reading a book and you don't have that feeling and you don't care to be able to go back and do those things, and you just don't. I think it's getting over, like, if it feels like a chore, that's not the intention, right? Like, I do this genuinely because I enjoy being able to find those things. But if it's something that you don't enjoy, it's not for everyone. So, like, no shame at all if it's something you don't enjoy. Okay. I do think this is a really cool way to be able to interact with your friends. We actually got asked to join a traveling annotating book club. And the way that works, we each picked a book. As I was writing, I remembered that I'm actually not good at writing and talking at the same time. So the way that worked is we all picked a book and we all annotated our own book and we ship it to the next person. So like my color is pink and my book got shipped to the next person and her color will be something else. So she'll add her own tabs, her own notes, her own thoughts to the book, and then she'll pass it to the next person and that person has another color. And then after months of this book traveling, I think it's going to 4 other destinations besides me. And then I will get the book back and be able to read everyone else's thoughts on the book. And I'm so excited. So that's another option, especially if you have friends that would be interested in something like that. Or especially if you, for that, I used the book The Last Letter by Rebecca Yarros. But this one would have been a good option in terms of, well, this wouldn't have been a good book because a lot of people have already read it. But a book that is one of your favorites would be a good one to have, all those extensive notes on that everyone else gave their input. All right, I'm going to stop talking for a bit and let the camera just roll of me annotating, and then I'll pop back in whenever I think of anything to add. Okay, that didn't take long at all for me to remember something. So, one thing I forgot to mention is I do sell these annotation reaction stickers on my Etsy. These are actually the ones that I cut too deep, so I use those for my personal ones. I don't sell those, obviously. But I forgot to bring these in here, so I had to go grab them. So, like in my copy, it says LOL because it's an old copy, but instead of putting LOL, I'm just gonna put a reaction sticker. And I just use these because it's easier to grab them up since they're kind of little. So a little pop in. All right. It's a little while later. I'm still working. I'm about halfway, but I thought I would kind of pop in to talk about just kind of the differences in annotating different genres. And hopefully I can do that and write at the same time. So, like I said, Six of Crows is kind of, um, it is a fantasy series. It's not heavy fantasy, um, but there are fantastical elements to it. So when that happens, or when I'm reading something fantasy, is when it gets things like world building. You know, if there's like magic systems, that's something that I might want to tab so they kind of get those kind of things. Like I said, this one has world and like notes kind of separately because um, if there's something special about the magic system, I want to be able to find that quickly. Whereas if I'm reading like a romance story, I usually have like a color for maybe love, spicy, um, things like that. I wouldn't need world building because typically romance takes place just in a normal setting. But there are books like A Love Song for Ricky Wilde. It does have like magical elements. So for that one, I used like I had tabs for romance, like things that I love. Let me back up. Fantasy also has things I love too, right? But when I go into a romance, I know there's going to be love. But when I went into A Love Song for Ricky Wilde, I did not know at first that it was going to have magical realism. So that's why this kind of how I sketch out what I'm going to use. I don't put it in the book to start because I don't always know what elements are going to be in the book and they kind of get added as I go. So for instance, if I was reading this for the first time and something happened that I needed to make another category, I would just add another color. And that's what happened with A Love Song for Ricky Wilde. So let's see, like mystery thrillers, I might make a color for like foreshadowing, red flags, like anything that I notice that I think might be important to the plot, like trying to discover like who the culprit is or who the bad guy is. Let's see what other kind of books are there. Obviously, you have like nonfiction, right? Like And usually if it's nonfiction at this point, I still use the colors that I used to use, like the same pink, the tabs that are like these, instead of matching it to the book cover, because usually I'm not annotating that for like aesthetics, right? It's just for learning if it's nonfiction, for me at least. And I also kind of do things differently for contemporary romance versus dark romance. So I think honestly, it's mostly just whatever, like I said earlier, it's whatever you feel like doing is the important part. All right, we're coming up on the very end. It is the next day. This book is so thick that I just got tired yesterday. And I knew that I couldn't get it done by the time I needed to get to the post office, so I just decided to split it up to 2 days. But she's finished and she's full. Well, she's not finished yet. We're doing the last part, which is arguably my favorite part. I might have already said that. And that is designing the page at the front that tells, there's 2 different ways to do this. So for the books that go in my shop, I just make a cute little page at the front, and it's just an extra thing. For this book, I'm going to do like I do my own books here at the house, because this one's just for a friend, and I think that way is fun. So I am going to make this like the key that tells her what each color means. So I'm very big on, this is almost like a scrapbooking process, and I'm very big on not wasting my paper. So any scraps that I have, they pretty much go in this like scrapbooking box that has just ripped pieces of paper and all kinds of stuff, and I will find a purpose for it. This black Astro Brights paper is one of my favorites to have, and then I also have pens. I have different pens and like paint markers that write really well on it. So some people wonder how I do this. I literally just start ripping, tearing, placing as I go. If I don't like it, I can just take it back out and I start over. I use a lot of double-sided tape. You could use glue. I am impatient, so I just like the double-sided tape, and then that way I can also pretty easily remove it if I have an issue. I think I want to use and like I said, it's some trial and error. Like, even though I put this all the way over here, I can still cover that if I wanted to, but I don't know if I want to use that at all. I might use craft paper instead. Oh, I might use, and this is about a washing machine, but I honestly don't really care what it's about because I'm probably about to rip it. And I might actually rip it on this side, that way that covers. Oh, it's like I ripped that too much, but I'll probably just tape it. And then I also have stickers that are going to go in here, so it's really not that big of a deal. Especially if you're a perfectionist, things like this can be very, I don't know if scary is the right word, but it can feel daunting to just kind of have to trust the process, because like obviously this is like what is going on, but I know it's going to come together. So another thing that I like to do, I don't even know if I have a pen in here, I'll take just a black pen and start marking out words, kind of like the text has been eradicated. And I think it gives such a cool like look to it. This paper that I'm using, it's journaling paper. I literally got it from Amazon, so it's not like I ripped a paper, like a book to get this or anything. I just like how it looks, honestly. Cute. Love that. All right, I need room. All right, I just went and got some pens. I I need to see which one's going to look the best. I'm going to test the brush side. That could be promising. I'm going to put this over here. I love these acrylic paint markers. They work really well on honestly all paper, but they clearly show up really well on the dark paper. I'm going to say I might be able to use any of these. I'm leaning more towards that first one though. Oh. Maybe that one. Okay. So what I'm going to do first, let's see if I have enough room for Kingdom. Yep, very good. I'm just gonna rip and rip. Not my best M, but so like I said, I do have stickers, but the important thing right now is to make sure I know how I'm going to put these tabs on here, so that way she knows what the colors mean. So now the question is, am I going to, because one option is to write on the tabs, and I might do that method. I might do that method. Those are so similar. I feel like she'll be able to tell that those both are the same. I might leave it in anyway. I ran out of the same color that I used for Funny, so I switched to a slightly different shade of gray, 50 Shades of Gray. And I was just gonna put both of them in here, but I think she would be able to tell. So after I get the essentials in here, although you could argue that the title wasn't essential because she would have known what book she just read or what book she's reading. So you're about to see me write on these tabs. The reason this is going to work is because these are water-based pens. If you write on the plastic with an oil-based pen, it's not going to work. So I know these work, and I know Sharpies work, like permanent markers. Anything else, I don't know if it's going to work. So, oh, cute. I love the gold. This is funny. And this is also funny. I don't know how well that's showing up for you on camera, but in person it's really cute. Oh my goodness, love, 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 love. I wish my copy looked like this. All right, so I have some stickers and some extras to kind of fill in any space. So a big theme or a big quote with this book is, when you can't beat the odds, change the game. So I feel like this is like the main, oh, how cool is that? Love. Okay. So I think this is a sticker because it kind of feels like it's not a sticker. I bought these before I started making my own. So yeah, this is not a sticker that I made. I actually bought this one on Etsy. I actually bought this for the first book that I sent her, but it did not come in time. I guess that the package got lost and then it ended up showing up. So, the wings are going to be off the page. That feels crooked. Crooked Kingdom. Okay, that's better. Love. So then I also found these little playing cards at Michael's. We got a Michael's in my town, and I love Michael's. So I have some of these. I think I made this one. This was actually one of the first stickers that I made that actually worked right. This was when I was first starting out in Canva. Let's get off. So this quote is technically from the first book. So I don't know if I want to save it because I'm also planning to add these to my shop. I don't know if I mentioned that. 6 of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. Adding it to my shop. So I might hold off on using that one. If we go here. And then I can kind of put some of the cards around it. I also bought this in here, but I don't necessarily. I could. This was like in a joke journaling set. It's like a mini newspaper. Okay. Let's see if I can. This makes sense for the cards. If I'm gonna need to do something else. I didn't even look what the card was. The Joker. I love this part. Mostly because every other part of the process is pretty much the same no matter what book I'm annotating for my shop. They go through pretty much the same process, but if you order a book, this is the one part that's probably going to be different for several reasons. One reason is I just randomly change how actually one reason is because I often will forget what I did on another version of the book. Like I might ship out a book this month and then not get another order for it till, like a month or two from down the road. I might forget what the other copy looked like, and then my copy might be way different. So it mostly just depends on how I'm feeling at the time, I guess. Like some elements are gonna be the same, right? Like I'm gonna use stickers that go with this fandom if it's a fantasy. When I do Daisy Jones and the Six, like I always put like music, notes, and like paper to go with it. And then I also have like books of stickers that I've bought. I'm just seeing if anything makes sense for 6 of Crows. So there are definitely like some dark kind of vibe things that could work in here, but I don't know if it needs anything. This crow, yep, that's the one. I'm just gonna add this. It might be a little big, but I think I can make it work. I love it. Looks so good. So I'm gonna write a note for her, and then I'm also gonna take you with me because I got a couple of orders that are annotation related, so I'm gonna ship those out with this. So a little bit of bonus material. So like I said, I did have a couple of orders that come through and they were all annotation related. So I was going to kind of show you those. So one customer ordered the After Dark annotation set. So they're like little stickers that you saw me putting in the book. So I'm going to grab that. And a pink envelope and set that to the side. And I'll address that for her and write the thank you note. So the other two are annotation kits. One is a full annotation kit, which means it's going to come with a pen and a highlighter with the annotation kit and a sticker. So this customer actually asked for it to match a book cover. So I'm going to see what that book cover looks like, and then I will go from there. So I wanted to make sure I had the right book cover because the customer explicitly asked for the US edition. So I was trying to make sure I didn't have the wrong one. So it's going to be a fantasy bookmark. Okay. And then the drop down menu does ask kind of for some questions. So she put red, orange, and yellow as the color scheme, which I do agree, but there's also some greens and like some darker, like gray, almost black areas. So I'm going to see what I can do. I absolutely adore when people put in what colors they want, or like if it matches the cover, because I just love that. Okay. I think the funniest thing about me is the fact that I wasn't going to show this because sometimes I take way too long picking the colors. And somehow I ended up pulling it up anyways. So there's a red. And then obviously, like, I place these however I want. And then, but the customer is like welcome to like switch the colors around. Like if they think a different color would better fit a different category. So to me, we need like, on the camera, this is picking this up as a really light green, but in person, this is like a darker green. So I'm gonna use that. So then we're gonna need some like oranges and yellows. Kind of like this like mauve-y color. Okay, and then I also want to do some like darker colors, like the kind of to play into like the blues. I feel like the pops of color are so prominent on here. I feel like I want to do a yellow. This yellow just feels very bright. And I do wish I had the cover in person. It's even better when I have the cover like right in front of me. I'd love to know what you think. Oh, you know, I might try to do like this kind of bone color. So fun. Okay, now we need the tassel that's gonna go on here. And I kind of feel like there's so much going on, but I kind of want to play into like the gold undertones of like the embellishments of the book cover. So I'm going to do this one. And then playing off kind of those same tones with a highlighter. I'm going to do this one. And this pen. Love. And then for my sticker, I don't think I have any fantasy specific stickers printed right now, but my go-to for people, I love this bookish sticker. Okay, so that is one order. So I just got the last bookmark made. This one was a general that wanted reds, orange, yellow kind of color scheme, so I followed that. This one didn't ask for a certain book, so I just kind of picked what I thought. So those will go in a rigid mailer, and this one's just the bookmark. So I'm about to write thank you cards to go in there. And then I'm headed to the post office with those and the book for my friend. So I hope you enjoyed like this process of just talking about annotation and the behind the scenes. I hope it made some sense, and I hope you enjoyed just hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. So again, if you like this kind of content, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and do all the things, because it helps my channel and it helps YouTube know that people want to see it. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.